Hey there, this is Jennie Potter, and welcome to the second season of Self-Sabotage No More, inspired by my newest book, Stuck No More. This season is all about helping you break the loop of being where you don't want to be, of breaking free from the cycle of saying, I'll do it tomorrow, only tomorrow never comes. If you're tired of feeling stuck, constantly putting off your goals, and ready to take real action towards the life you want, this podcast is for you. We'll explore practical strategies to overcome whatever loop you are stuck in and finally start achieving what you've been longing for. For more tools and resources like how-to videos and worksheets related to my books and this podcast, visit jenniepotter.com. Before we get started, I want to make sure you know I'm not trying to diagnose or cure any kind of emotional, physical, or psychological illness. If you feel like you're a danger to yourself or others, please seek help from a qualified professional. All right, let's jump in and continue along the journey to Stuck No More. Aligning miraculous with your imagination. I don't know about you, but I used to spend hours and hours and hours daydreaming. I would fall asleep daydreaming. I would pretend I was asleep in the car with my parents for long road trips, and I would just daydream the whole way, dreaming of all kinds of things. I wish someone had told me then what I know now, which daydreaming is actually visioning. Daydreaming is this incredible skill we have as children to imagine a different life, to imagine how life could be different, and to help create that life. And so today we're going to be talking about the I envision statement. And this statement is one of the most transformational pieces in the affirmation puzzle. You know, some of you will like some of the affirmations more than others, or use some of the affirmations more than others. And again, like I've said many times, there's no wrong way to do this. This is what fits for you. This is what fits for you so that you can resonate at and create at a level that is in alignment with your dreams. But I will tell you that envisioning is definitely one of those puzzle pieces that helps amp up the process. This will help you step more quickly into your dreams. And, you know, when I was a shy girl, I used to fall asleep at night picturing myself standing behind a podium. I would try and figure out what I was going to wear. I would imagine that there would be thousands of people. And I saw myself standing on a stage and speaking. I never knew what I was speaking about. And back then, I used to just try and imagine the nicest outfit I could think of as an adult Jennie would wear. And I would picture this. And it wasn't till around the age of 37 that I started to realize, like, oh, I really want to speak on stage. I really want to share. I want to inspire. I feel like I was born to be on the stage. And I truly believe to this day that I planted seeds as a child for two reasons. One, God put it on my heart and got me ready. And I got me ready by daydreaming, by imagining, by picturing. I was planting seeds for my future way back then. That's how I like to think of affirmations, is planting seeds for your future life. Jim Carrey did this. If you've ever heard Jim Carrey talk about when he was in 1985, totally broke and depressed, sitting in his beat up Toyota overlooking Hollywood, he wrote a $10 million check for himself with I think the note said something like, for acting services rendered or something like that. And it was a symbol of his goal, a visual symbol of his goal. And years later, he earned exactly that amount for his movie Dumb and Dumber. And of course, if you know Jim Carrey, he's gone on to have lots of success. And visioning was one of his tools that he used as he moved towards that success. And so if imagining is hard for you, you might feel like it's out of your norm. Okay. Like it's not something that you could do. And it's so funny because even though as a kid I daydreamed, nobody ever told me like that was visioning. And so later, when I started reading personal growth books, and I would discover that, you know, I feel like every single personal growth book I read, once I discovered personal growth books, talked about visioning and affirmations. Now, affirmations made sense to me, but visioning felt hard. And it's like I could imagine all day long bad scenarios. I could imagine things that I wasn't really thinking or trying to create. But at that stage of my life, in my 20s, I was more of this place of like, I couldn't really imagine what I wanted to imagine when there was pressure. The reason why visioning works so well is your brain is kind of smart dumb. This is like I talked about this before in my first book, but you know, when you're in the car and your kid has borrowed it and it's hooked up to their phone, not to your phone, and like your car's like super smart, but it doesn't recognize your phone now when you get in. It's that kind of smart dumb. Your brain is the same smart dumb, okay? Super smart. But like sometimes like the programming takes over, and so your brain, you're designed miraculously. In fact, when you envision something, your brain doesn't know the difference between real and fake. And that works for our benefit when we are trying to create the life of our dreams. So, as best you can, when you're envisioning your future goal, your win, your desires, imagine that it's happening right now, that you're in it. Evoke feeling. I think I've shared this before, but when I got a text message from a friend and she had this picture of this beautiful Mercedes, and I just had this thought like, I wonder what it would be like if I had a brand new Mercedes. I wonder what it would be like if I had that Mercedes. And I imagined and smelt the leather and I tried it on in my mind. I kind of put it out there and then I went on with my day. And 6 months later, my husband bought me that car. And I know I've shared that before, but like, this is what I'm talking about. I visioned it, it came to fruition. You know, stuff like this doesn't always work, like that example. But one thing that's good to do is you can grab a moment, take a moment, and just imagine, even if you have to pause me right now, if you're driving, just remember to come back to this or do this later. But try and think about a time when you manifested something. Think about something that you manifested. Now, it could be good or bad. A lot of times people are manifesting negative stuff like, oh, I knew this would happen. I knew this flight would get canceled. I knew we'd be late to the airport. I knew, I knew, I knew. Well, that's just another way of saying I pictured it and I made it happen. Now, I'm not saying that you make all of the bad things in your life happen. You know, life happens around us for sure. But there is power in visualizing your day and moving through it with ease. If you started your day just by picturing everything going by with flow, good things happening, nice surprises, ease, having a good sleep the next night, like if you were to just get in that one habit, you would see transformation in your life. So take a moment and just try and remember, when did you manifest something good or bad? And how did you manifest it? Did you speak it out? Did you put it on your dream board? Did you see it, vision it? Did you affirm it? Did you feel it? Did you pray about it? Okay. And so kind of do a check-in with your natural manifesting skills, because these affirmations are a guide. If you're really good at visioning, or you're really good at declaring, or you're really good at feeling something before it occurs, use that. That is your secret weapon. A word of caution. If you are a worrier, if you picture bad things happening, if you worry about, I don't even want to speak out what you're worrying about, but I will tell you, it's not serving you. So just like the thought check, the void, 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 we're going to use void, void, void when you picture something bad. Okay. you want to replace it with picturing something good. The good news is, if you are a worrier and you do picture things going wrong, you know how to vision. You've just got to turn your skills to good. Okay. And so it might feel a little bit like an addiction if you're a worrier. And here's the weird news. It is. It is an addiction. You are addicted to worrying if you are a worrier. Okay. You're addicted. Your body actually releases chemicals when you worry, and you've gotten addicted to feeling that way. So to break up this habit, you're going to have to say void, 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 and get addicted to feeling good. Get addicted to something else. I used to spend years falling asleep, imagining the worst case scenario, imagining my whole family dying, imagining bad things happening to me. Before I ever met my husband, imagining that I would meet someone and then and then they would something would go wrong and they would leave me or they would die. And I don't say this lightly. I cringe now thinking about all of those nights I fell asleep, but I got addicted to thinking bad thoughts. And those thoughts put me to sleep. And it was kind of like this, if I can imagine the worst case scenario thing and then imagine myself surviving, I'll be okay. So I had to break that habit. And it was really hard. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Just a quick note. I want to take a moment to let you know that I have additional free resources and links to my Facebook community available on my website at jenniepotter.com. Now let's get back to getting unstuck and creating the life you're dreaming of. I'm going to tell you right now, it was not an easy thing. And I know it sounds like such a twisted thing to do, but I got addicted to worst case scenario. I never spoke it out, but I used to just imagine it every night as I fell asleep. You can use void, void, void to void this habit and start stepping into something new, and be patient with yourself because it's a new skill and it is an addiction. So when I say it's an addiction, literally specific neural circuits become activated when you have a thought. Those neurons communicate with other neurons in a series of circuits and electrical chemical signals. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that send signals between neurons. Examples are like dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, and others, which will help regulate your mood, cognition, and other functions throughout the body. So what does that mean? That's a lot of sciencey talk for someone who never talks sciencey. But what it means is if you have a recurring thought, good or bad, if you have a worry or vision, you are creating a series of pathways in your brain, like highways that become deeply established and make it easier for you to think that thought over and over and have similar thoughts in the future. And so overall, the process of having a thought is actually very complex. It involves a coordination of activity, which we definitely don't have time for today. But the bottom line is, and what I always share with my clients is, it's kind of like you're creating this highway. So you've got this highway to things don't work out well for me. Things never work out for me. Things never work out for me. Things never work out for me. You have this highway to something's going to go wrong, or when I win, I lose, or, whatever that thought is, you got a highway going there. You got synapses, like stuff happening, and your body knows how to do it. So it's like, we know where to go. We know that highway. Okay, it's really easy to take the highway, way harder to take a path in the jungle. So again, if you are on a worry highway, if you are on a negative thinking highway, just a reminder, pull that car over, pull out a machete, go to the forest and cut a new trail, new thoughts. I always say those new thoughts are going through the forest, all the way where there's this beautiful waterfall, there's unicorns, there's rainbows, there's birds chirping, there's butterflies. It's so amazing. It's this oasis, but you've got to cut your way there if you're not in the habit of thinking positive thoughts. So the bottom line is this: if you're a chronic worrier, you've got highways to worry. And so you're likely addicted both mentally and physically to having those worrisome thoughts and picturing something bad happening. And you can break this habit in a matter of days or months, depending on how frequently you use your new thoughts, you use your void tool, and you create new neural pathways. Okay. Something called synaptic pruning happens to that worry highway when you stop using it. It's an efficiency thing. So if you start using a new highway, if you start using a new path, then you're going to essentially, the old highway is going to grow over. Okay. And so, couple affirmation sticking points here that I want to share. When your dream feels too big to dream, you can try it on. So that's one little hack that I like to use, is try it on. I gave that example about the Mercedes. I was like not really attached to driving a Mercedes, not really attached to having the same Mercedes as my friend, but don't worry, she lives really far away from me, and it's totally cool that we have the same car, had the same car. I have a different one now. But, you know, the thing was, I just tried it on. Try on something you're not attached to. Okay. Try on something, a vacation spot, or I don't know, a renovated kitchen, or something like you would love, but you're not attached to. You don't really care. It's not high on the priority list, but it would be nice. Try it on. When you're trying on an idea, you're wondering, I wonder what it would be like to have X or Y or Z. Okay. So sometimes the wanting is blocking the receiving. So trying on manifesting things that you're not attached to is great practice. Who would you call? Who would you tell? Who would you text if this great thing happened to you? Envision yourself texting that person, or calling that friend, or telling someone about it, or posting on social media. Envision that. OMG, I'm so excited. XYZ. Okay. So that's your sticking point, hack number one. And then the next one is when you can't imagine it. So sometimes it's super hard to imagine something because you just can't see yourself there. You can't see yourself experiencing, being, doing, achieving that new goal or dream or whatever. And so this is why Jim Carrey's check worked, is he had a visual reminder. Okay. He often looked at that check. Create a visual aid. If you can't imagine it, create a visual aid. This is called a dream board or a vision board. This is going to help you achieve your goal. You're going to put it in a place where you see it every single day, and you can glance at that photo or that picture you cut out of the magazine. Okay. And so when I was researching manifestation and all of my extremely amazing, successful connections and entrepreneur friends, I reached out to my friend, Kimberly Olson. She is incredible. She teaches women how to build $1 million empires. Okay. She is the absolute best at this, and I highly recommend you to check her out. But Kimberly, I asked her, I was like, what's your favorite manifestation story? So she told me this story about manifesting her perfect house. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. But do you have another story? Because I already have a house story and I would love another story. Can you send me a different one? Talk about high maintenance friend. So she messages me back and she goes, well, yeah, there was a year when I did really well financially. She had earned $250,000 in 1 year, and she had nothing to show for it. And she suddenly realized something needed to be tweaked around her money mindset. Okay. And so what she did was she chose to have $1 million a year the next year. She wrote herself, just like Jim Carrey did, a visual reminder. She wrote herself a check for $1 million. I guess Jim did 10 million, but she wrote herself a check for $1 million for scaling her business, signed it from the universe. And 1 year later, to the day, she saw that she had surpassed her goal. by 35%. And so write yourself a check. You can check out at jenniepotter.com. I have free fake checks from the universe that you can sign them from God. You can sign them from whoever you want. But I have fake checks for you to write and put up on your dream board so that you too can have a visual aid of maybe that financial goal. What about when the wanting of something blocks the receiving of it? So what if you want something so bad? Okay. You really want your house to sell, or you really want to win a trip, or you really want to have a certain amount of income. And it feels like your wanting is actually getting in the way of receiving. So I know we touched on this, but I want to make sure you know the process. This is another sticking point hack. I want to make sure you know the process for your eliminating of the wanting so that you can step into the receiving. Okay. One of the things that I like to say is if you're in the trying, it's harder to manifest. So we want to be in the receiving, and in the receiving, that the natural position of being in receiving is opening up your arms. So open up your arms when you think about your goal, when you envision your goal, when you want your goal. Okay. But if you feel like, oh, like I just want it so bad, if you have that energy, I want you to put that energy in the balloon. Okay. So you've already heard about the magnetic balloon method. And if you haven't, it's like episode 2 or 3. Go check it out. I walk you through how to release those feelings into a balloon and let them go away. Okay. Remember, I talked about the Bronco and like how I had manifested like a grocery getter, but then I realized I wanted a blue Bronco. And, and then my husband was like, well, I don't really like that shape. And so I let it go. I let it go. I'm like, okay, I don't need a Bronco. That's fine. What do you think's a good car for me? Like, these are the things I like. What's a different type of car that, you would like too? And as soon as I made that shift of like, okay, I don't want the Bronco came. I released the wanting and I manifested that car in a week. And I never even shared before, but with that Bronco, someone already had their name on it. It never should have been at the dealership. But when I went in to purchase it at the dealership and I was like, I want this one, they're like, ooh, that one's not available. And then they're like, oh, wait a second. Yes, it is. And all of a sudden it was magically mine. It was like it was being held for me. So letting go of wanting is as easy as putting your wanting in the balloon and letting it go. So walk through the steps of that magnetic balloon method, which you can find at jenniepotter.com, or you can check out an earlier episode to help you remember. I'll close with one last story. When I was in network marketing, there's this amazing event. And if you're a network marketer, write this event down. It's a not-for-profit. It is the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. The acronym is ANMP. They have an event every single year. It's incredible. It has like usually around 80 speakers. Everyone brings incredible value. It's just so, so good. And I love it because it's a generic event. So when you're going to company events, they're awesome. Don't miss your company events. They're so cool. They're so good for business. But here's the thing. When you go to a generic event, you're learning from $1 million earners from all walks of life, from all different companies. Some of them have like created their wealth over a few years. Some of them have been creating their wealth for 40 years and everything in between. So you're going to find someone that you relate to. And it's just such a beautiful environment. People are very approachable. You can talk to the speakers. It's a really cool event. So I went to this event back when I was in network marketing. It was probably 6 years ago now. And when I attended it, I saw this one speaker told everyone that he would sign their books at a table after, at lunch or whatever. And so when he said that, I just suddenly thought, oh my gosh, this is my dream. I want to be on that stage one day telling everybody that they can meet me at the table and I will sign my book for them. Okay. Now I had not written a book, but this was my dream. 5 years to the day. I mean, I can't remember. Timing is so weird. I can't confirm or deny it was exactly 5 years, but we'll give it like at least 4 to 6 years. Okay. I got invited to speak on the A&MP stage, and I was able to tell people that they could come and find me, and I would sign their book, and I had a signing table and everything, just like I had imagined. Visioning is so powerful. When I had that seed planted in my head at that first event, and I saw that guy talking about his book and speaking from stage, and I knew that that's what I wanted, I started to picture it. I wrote about it. I spoke it out. And so I used all of the ingredients, but that one took 5 years to manifest. So you can't really make this stuff up, but then actually you can make it up. That's the whole point. So I'll close with this. There's a movie called The Secret, which a lot of people know, and it kind of gave manifesting a good name, but it also, there was this weird sort of, the naysayers were kind of like, well, you can't just sit on a couch and manifest a car. Like, you have to go work for it. You have to earn it. And I'm going to tell you that the jury is kind of out for me on that one, because I've had things come to me instantly, like the Mercedes story, like the Bronco, like the story I told a couple episodes ago where he talked about speaking out, I'm a published author, and the next day the phone rang. Sometimes it takes a moment, sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes 6 months, and sometimes it takes 5 years. And sometimes you can't just sit on the couch doing nothing and visualizing it, but sometimes you can. The beauty of the envisioning is not just envisioning the moment, but envisioning the moments leading up to the moments. Vision yourself in action. Vision yourself succeeding and moving towards that goal. Use your affirmation machete and cut a new path through that forest. Let the synaptic pruning happen on those worry highways, and create your new thought highways, and make your dreams a reality. And that's all for today. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Stuck No More with Jennie Potter. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast. That helps others find the show so they can get unstuck too. And don't forget, you can find my books, Self-Sabotage No More and Stuck No More, on Amazon, Audible, and the other book platforms. Thanks again for listening, and bye for now.